All right, please date today's notes, shifting functions. Where does this word come from? This word translation, or moving a graph from left or right or up or down, this is a word we learned back in Math 1 right before COVID hit. And we were talking about the three transformations for Math 1: rotation, reflection, and translation. And translation is always the easiest one for kids to pick up because it's just taking a graph and shifting it right or left or up or down. So in quadratics now, fast forward to Math 2, we're now looking at a parent graph of y equals x squared, or a parabola. So this time we're taking these U-shaped graphs and we're moving them right, left, up, or down. And usually we look at these in terms of a critical point, which in this case is going to be our vertex. And we're looking at the shift in the x and the y, or the shift in the h and the k. And then that new graph will move accordingly, right or left or up or down, based on where the vertex starts, and then we can follow the rest of the graph. So when you make a change to the graph of right or left, you're going to make the change to the x. When you make a change to the graph for up or down, it's going to be a number added to the end. So let's put a little note here to the side. An up or down shift is shown by adding or subtracting a number at the end of a function. Okay, so I'm going to do this in orange. And if our original graph of y equals x squared, if I want that to shift up 4, for example, I'm going to take this original graph and I'm going to add 4 to it. A shift up 4 would be a plus 4 at the end of the entire function. What if I wanted to shift something down? It would be a minus something. Okay, well, what about a shift right or left? Right or left shift is shown by adding, subtracting to the x in the parentheses. This one I'm going to show with green. And let's say that we wanted to do a right 2 shift. I'm going to take a right 2 shift and adjust it to the x in the parentheses. And remember that the x is opposite. So if it's a right 2 shift, I'm going to write minus 2 inside the parentheses. So x minus 2 inside the parentheses is a right 2 shift. And we're going to put a little arrow and say that the x is opposite sign. Okay. What did we do last semester? We were talking about looking at this equation and seeing that vertex. So 2, 4 is our vertex of this vertex form of the parabola. So now you're going to have two things show up on the Apex quiz today. One is going to be manipulating equations with the translations and the shifts, and one is going to be with graphs. So let's first look at the equations. So if I'm given this example of g of x equals 8x squared minus 23, and they are asking me to do the following shifts. They want me to shift 5 units right and 2 units down. So I'm going to make the 5 units right adjustment to the x. And I'm sorry, to do this shift, we're now going to have a new function called h of x. So h of x is equal to, we're going to adjust here for the 5 units right. So we're going to say minus 5 for the 5 units right on the x. And then 2 units down means we're going to take the negative 23 at the end and minus 2 from the end. So again, 5 units right is shown here with a minus 5 adjusting to the x. and 2 units down is shown here as its adjustment. Now, when you look at your answers on Apex, it's going to be written as a final answer like this. Minus 25. Where does this minus 25 come from? Do you see how we combined the negative 23 and the negative 2? This is manipulating the function to show the equation for the new translated function h of x. This h of x has been moved 5 units right and 2 units down from the original g of x function. Let's go do another one. Here's a quadratic equation given to you. We want this one only to be shifted 4 units left. That means there's no vertical or up or down movement. It's just moving left. So again, a left movement is going to adjust our x values. So anywhere that there's an x in the equation, we're going to make the shift left. So 4 units left means we're going to be adding 4. So inside the parentheses becomes x plus 4. So originally in the function there was an x there. Now we want to shift 4 units left, so we write x plus 4 in the parentheses everywhere that there was an x. And this is our final answer, g of x. It's not going to be simplified anymore on Apex. It's just going to be done like that. Now, this is using explicit form of a quadratic. What if they ask us the same kinds of questions, but in translation form? Translation form is giving one function in terms of another function. So g of x in terms of f of x. So this is telling us that g of x is 4 units shifted from the x and 5 units shifted down. So we're going to write the words for this. So this is g of x is shifted 4 units right. Remember that if it's a minus 4, it's a 4 units right. It's kind of counterintuitive to what we think because the sign is opposite. And 5 units down. So g of x in terms of f of x is that it is shifted 4 units right from the original f of x and 5 units down. We're going to be asked to choose an answer where we are looking and showing the words. Let's do 2 more translation forms. This one is saying that g of x is shifted 6 units where? What do you think? Hopefully you were thinking right, because it's a minus 6, it's the opposite, and it's 6 units right. And this one is g of x is shifted 9 units up. Notice that sometimes we can have an up-only shift, and sometimes we can have a right-only shift. There is no adjustment to the end here, up or down. There is no adjustment right or left here. So let's put that. Sometimes we only move up. There's no right or left movement. Sometimes we only move right. There's no up or down movement. And I'm going to pause the notes video here. My next video is going to go into the graphing. This focused mainly on the equations.